Who's wrong and who's wronger? In this corner, followed by millions, James the Exploding Unicorn Breakwell. And in that corner, ignored by millions, Steve Dash Rinko Levens.
Good morning, everybody. When I say morning, I mean it is morning. I haven't even had my morning constitution yet, but here I am with James Breakwell, so we'll call that a wash. Welcome to Wrong and Wronger. The coffee is hot. One co-host is hot, and the other is you, James. How are you this morning?
I am spectacular because as unpleasant as it is to talk with you first thing in the morning, I just realized the rest of my day is going to be 100% Steve free. I will not have you hanging over my future.
Well, this is the show where we argue about things. Actually, we don't argue. We just whine about how awful our lives are. And James, you've got 4 kids in the house all summer, so I can't imagine that your life is much better than mine right now.
Well, currently they are all wonderfully asleep, so things are good. We actually we just got back from a trip up to Wisconsin, which I'll write about in the newsletter, next week. So we came back, and the most disappointing thing to getting back from a trip is your house is exactly how you left it. Like there were no gnomes that came through and like did the dishes and the laundry and all of that. Every chore we abandoned as we rushed out the door is just here waiting for us. So that's what I have to look forward to today.
You know, I'm from Wisconsin, James, so you went to my homeland.
I should have remembered that and washed my feet of the land before I left. Which part were you in?
South Central.
South Central. Does that? I guess you probably don't want to give a name. You don't want to dox your parents and have them associated with you. That would be.
I always give the name because it's a Chippewa Indian word. It's my town is called McWanago. It's a little farm town no one's ever heard of.
I also have not heard of it. We were up in the orbit of Lake Winnebago there, which is just shy.
You're up,
yeah, we were up a ways, but it's just shy of being a Great Lake. It is quite large.
Well, so do you have family up there? Why did you even pick, of all the gin joints in the world, to go there?
I have like one friend in the world, and they were from Wisconsin. They lived with me for a while here in Indiana. We went to college together, and then they moved back up there. And they have a boat. And you don't want to ever own a boat. You want to have a friend with a boat. So a couple times a year, we go up there to benefit from their boat, pretend that we're boat people, and then we scurry away and don't touch a boat again for the rest of the year.
Boy, we owned a boat for about 15 minutes, and it was the worst experience. I think Mrs. Steve would say we had fun with the boat, but it was stressful and expensive. And we literally owned the boat for about maybe 2 months.
Really?
Maybe 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had someone break into it and steal crap out of it, and we had it broke down. I know this is coming as a shock to you, but in the middle of the lake, and we had to have somebody come out to fix it. Like it was enormously stressful. Just getting it in and out of the water was stressful. And anyway, I don't recommend it either, James.
There's that saying that the 2 happiest days of your life when owning a boat are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. And that seems absolutely true. It's the other saying is a boat is a hole in the water you dump money into. And so my buddy, like usually every year he breaks multiple props because, it's Wisconsin and some parts of the lake are 30 feet deep and some feet are like 6 inches deep. And you don't always know which is which until you hit it. So they break props, and that's like $300 a pop. And they just kind of accept that as the price of doing business, along with, super expensive gas and all of that. And then you've got to own a giant truck to get it around. And they've got a pretty sizable boat. But this year, their boat had some huge air message on it, so they had to take it in to get fixed, and that was like a week ago. And then when they had it out on the lake, and the same error message popped up again after they'd already paid a bunch of money to fix it. On top of that, and this is going to be the subject of the newsletter, he has this truck to haul it. This truck is brand new because they do it through their business, and it's a write-off. So they go through new vehicles I guess you know about write-offs. You're Mr. Hide from the IRS over there, self-employment. But so it's a brand new truck. It's 6 months old, and it had some error. It broke down. And I'm not going to shame the company, not yet, unless this happens like 5 more times, which it certainly will. But the company that made this, basically, they could not figure out what was wrong with it. And apparently this is not the only time this issue has happened. So rather than like replacing this part or that part on this 6-month-old truck, they replaced the entire engine. Okay,
What?
They replaced the entire engine on a 6-month-old truck, the truck that he needs to get the boat in the water. And mind you, in Wisconsin, they've got a very limited window. They got 4 months a year where they can use this big fancy boat. So they need the truck to work. They need the boat to work. The boat breaks down twice. The truck breaks down while towing the boat, mind you. So then it's up and running again. And then we go out one morning before boating to play Frisbee golf. And the truck with a brand new engine, the engine that has 600 miles on it, breaks down again. It will not start up. So he's there as they're waiting in the parking lot Googling lemon laws, which for reference, if you live in Wisconsin, it has to break down 4 times for the same issue they fail to fix. So he's halfway there. He's halfway to the lemon law. But man, like in the boat and the boat associated equipment, like it's expensive. And as far as stress, so he has the supernatural ability to back up a trailer. Like watching him back up a trailer is a work of art. Him with a trailer is like Michelangelo with a hammer and chisel. Like it is a thing of beauty. I would never in my wildest dreams attempt to back up a trailer that large. Like the margin of the boat is so big, the boat ramps are so small between the docks. Like I would, every time I tried to get that in the water, I would just cause thousands of dollars in damage. And to me, that is not fun. That is I would just give up. I cannot even fathom trying to maneuver that through traffic, in reverse, up and down a boat ramp, anything like that. I will let him do it for me a couple times a year, and then I will never do it again.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I gotta give you an opening at some point. I did my rant. Now you jump in with your rant. That's the format. This is like our 900th episode, Steve. You know how this works.
I've got my morning newspaper. I was actually working the crossword puzzle while you were talking there, James. But Jesus, so many stories. P.S. We still have some sage left over if your buddy needs to smudge his truck and/or boat, so he can drive out the evil, just like we did in the house here. I don't know if his truck has ever visited Rattlesnake Ranch, but it sounds suspiciously like every piece of equipment that's ever been on this property. The lemon law was interesting. I will say, I was actually reminiscing about owning that boat. And you were right. The 2 most exciting days are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. The day we sold it was actually another disaster because we met a guy. I forgot where we went. We didn't have a truck. This was years and years ago. We were very young and had no money. Put everything we had into this Bayliner boat, but we had to use my father-in-law's truck, which is stressful to get it from his place to our place. And we met somebody way out somewhere. It might have been like near Knoxville, Tennessee, like 3 hours away or something. But the point is, we left at like 6 in the morning to pull this boat out there to sell the piece of crap. And when we were on the interstate, like still in Nashville, the boat cover tore all the way down the middle. So whatever we sold the boat for, which was a loss after only 2 months, I had to give the guy $400 off so he could buy a boat cover for it too. Boats are a mess. I don't recommend them for anybody, James.
So, was this a brand new boat when you bought it?
No, we went up to Minnesota to get the boat and drive it back, which was stressful. And your trailer story, God, I so relate to that. We rented a little U-Haul tow behind. I forgot what when we were getting cabinets from Home Depot. So instead of using my truck and taking 2 or 3 trips, we just got like a tow behind 6x12 trailer. So the U-Haul place out here by me doubles as like it's like an engine repair shop and a motorcycle shop and a U-Haul shop all under one roof. So it's not a very big property and it's littered with junk. And I pull up to the place, and the guy's wife comes out and goes, "Hey, can you back it up over there?" And I looked and I thought, no, I don't think I can. But, I'm a dude, and I'm not going to look bad. My wife is in the car, so of course I'm going to back it in there. And I don't know how many things I hit, but I couldn't do it. You know those on those aptitude tests where there's like 6 gears that are interlocked, and the question is like, if gear A turns clockwise, what direction does gear F turn? And it's like my mind explodes on those. I can't figure that stuff out. I don't have that kind of spatial ability. But I remember, here's where I'm going with this. My wife's uncle was an 18-wheeler driver. He's deceased now, but I remember watching him back a truck into, like, up his driveway from the highway. And it was like, God dang, man, how do you do that? So it is a skill, and I don't know if it's innate or if it's 10,000 hours, but you and I seem to possess the same level of aptitude when it comes to that.
It is a skill, and like I don't even know how you'd practice it because you don't have just like an empty trailer to practice with. The first time you practice with is when you have this ridiculously expensive boat on board. There's no like Trailer Simulator 2000 for you to practice with on a computer.
Right.
It's just real life or nothing, and I can't handle that. I can't handle that kind of pressure. Although I will say this, my buddy's wife, she's like she's talking to my daughter. She's like, now you need to marry a man who knows how to back up a trailer. Like that's how important this skill is.
God, our wives have made horrible, horrible mistakes,
Yes.
James.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what possessed you to become a boat person?
I don't know. We were young and childless and thought, well, this will be fun. We were wrong, first of all. And,
Of course.
I remember the first time getting out on the lake. Like, even driving a boat is not the easiest thing in the world to do when you're in traffic. When you're on open water, it's fine. You just open throttle and you can't hit anything. But I remember we rented a slip at one of the marinas here, and just trying to get the boat into the slip when there's boats coming and going, and there's like a harbor master that's yelling at you, and the gas station is over there, and you've got to kind of sidle into it because the boat has to kind of drift into the gas station spot. It's, man, it's not easy to do. And with no practice, you're right. Like, my anxiety was running too high. The answer to your question, though, is we thought it'd be cool to own a boat. And this was like the early days of eBay. And somebody had a boat in Minneapolis that they were selling for cheap, and Bayliners at the time were like 12 grand, and this was being sold for 3 grand, and we're like, oh, surely we can scrape this together. And I think I sold it for 1,200 and gave the guy 400 back. It was bad.
Whew, that is an expensive couple months there. Although with what gas costs now, that's like 2 boat trips out. I mean, it is pricey, and not only that, but it costs a ton to drive the boat. It costs even more to tow the boat. So my buddy, his dad has a house on a lake, and different than Lake Winnebago, and it's like an hour north. And to get that boat an hour north takes a full tank of gas from the truck. Like, holy cow, that's and then you get the boat in the water, and those giant power boats, they don't exactly sip gas. They just burn through it like you wouldn't believe. So when I left, I Venmo'd my friend some money, his wife some money, and she messaged me. She's like, "This is way too much," and I'm like, "That's probably half of like in 1 hour on the boat. Like, there's no way. I mean, gas is like $25 a gallon right now.
What?
Well, $5. You know what gas costs. Well, maybe you don't. You're over there in your ivory tower on Rattlesnake Ranch. Maybe you don't buy your gas anymore. Maybe you hire your manservant to do it. But actually, it is about $5 a gallon in most places, give or take a little.
Yes, boy. I thought when you said that, I'm thinking, did he have a boat that takes like Jet A? Like, what are we talking about?
No.
You got some rich friends. That's awesome.
Hyperbole, Steve. Have you not learned not to take my words at face value?
You got to go all the way. If you go hyperbole, you can't go halfway. It gets confusing.
It alarms me that $25 a gallon is now plausible enough that you can't be sure I'm exaggerating.
That's so true. Do you know how I get around being depressed about gas? I get gas literally every day. And that way, the most I ever spend is like a quarter tank. It costs me to go to my office. It's about a $22 round trip. So I have to calculate that in. If we have to go into town like Nashville to get something with my truck, that's almost $40 because it burns diesel and it's big. So these are things you have to keep in mind when you're calculating, is it worth doing X, Y, or Z? But yeah, so I put about 23 bucks in my tank every few days when I go to the office. And then other days when we go to the diner, I get gas in town, even if it's just a few gallons, so that it never feels like I'm getting gouged. It just feels like, there's 20 bucks, 25 bucks. That's what it used to cost. Except now I only get like a little splash instead of a full tank.
So when we were going up to Wisconsin, we've got to swing around Chicago, which is unfortunate. It's always
It
just
is.
one big traffic jam. But they've got the iPass up there where they give you tolls on the way, and Google Maps would default, and it kept defaulting to no tolls, like adding time to
Oh,
our
geez.
drive to not pay the tolls. And we like almost didn't catch it the first time. It was really screwy, and it wouldn't stay on the toll route. But it wanted us to add like 45 minutes to our trip to save $4. It's like, with what gas costs, that's going to cost us double or triple to drive even longer. Like, that is the worst trade-off in the world. At this point, like, tolls are a bargain.
That's funny. I always said we ought to get every bulldozer in the United States, line them up shoulder to shoulder, and just push Chicago into Lake Michigan, start over again. Like, I hate going through there, and because I'm from Wisconsin, anytime we go to visit my family, we have to go through there twice, and it's just awful. It's just awful, James.
Well, we ended up with a 25-minute slowdown there of bumper-to-bumper traffic, and there was no reason why. There was no accident. There was no anything. It was just, for this section of road, for absolutely no reason, we're all going to bunch up. And then 10 miles down the road, it's going to spread out. Again, for notice, it's not like there was an on-ramp and an off-ramp there that caused it. It's just like, you know what, let's just cause this one person tap their brakes a little bit too much, like 3 hours before, and caused a chain reaction ripple effect that still has not worked its way out. Yeah, if there were any good way to get around Chicago, I think they built a bypass, and then it filled up, and they built another bypass, and like, there's no good way. The traffic just keeps reaching out to fill up the bypasses.
Only 25 minutes tells me you must have gone through at 3 in the morning.
it was like 2 or 3 o'clock on a Monday. Like, it shouldn't have been. Like, who's even driving then? It's just like other people coming back from a random summer vacation, plus 9 billion trucks for Amazon. And that, yes, Steve, that was hyperbole. I did not count the trucks that were not.
That worked! By the way, you're not calling out the truck company, but I'm curious because I hear all the time that, like, I have mechanic friends that hate Ford, but I own a Ford and I love my truck and it's never given me any problems. I'm knocking on wood. I'm going to probably have to go smudge it with some sage later, but I just, you can just say yes or no to this. And if it's yes, I suppose that narrows it down. But is it a Ford truck?
It is not.
Okay, good. I don't like Ford getting a bad name. I like my truck.
It is an American company, though, so I guess that narrows it down to like 2 others. This is why I stick to foreign companies. But so we had really, really good luck with one van, and then the same copy of another van we got 2 of the same thing, and then one of them ended up being haunted and having all the problems in the world. And then we switched back to another foreign company we've never had trouble with, and so far it's going good. So I'm a big fan of these foreign cars that it ends up people buy so much of them that they become domestic cars. Because now my foreign car was actually made like an hour away in Indiana.
Yeah.
So I've done a good thing by ignoring and snubbing America. Those foreign companies came to me.
Boy, I remember this again is years ago. I had a Honda Accord, and at the time, you could tell the difference between a Japanese made and an American made by the first letter of the VIN number. So my VIN number started with a J, which implied that it was made in Japan. Not that it mattered to me. I bought it used with a lot of miles on it, but I don't know if that's still the same anymore. I know you have some experience with that company too, but yeah, most of them I think are made in America these days. It's too expensive to ship them in.
Okay, who knows the VIN number for their car? Of all the random pieces of data to have, you look at it like one time to fill out your registration, and that's it, ever.
Yeah, but maybe at the time it was more important to know where your car was made. I don't remember the VIN number, doy. I remember the first letter. God, there's a trick too on your driver's license, or I'm sorry, your social security number that you can tell where you were born based on some number or combination of numbers. Someone taught me that a long time ago, and I don't remember the trick anymore. But this was kind of that same thing. It was sort of a hack that you could know where the car was manufactured based on the VIN.
Yeah, that's not true anymore. I know it's been a long time since you had kids, but it used to be that, all the people in one area had the first number or a couple numbers in common, which makes it much less secure. So now it's, entirely random. So my later kids, their social security numbers just get weird. It's all sorts of random digits all over the place. But yes, for people like you who are a million years old, your social security number is very easy to hack.
The youngest kid is back home again. See if I can spin
Oh,
around and catch his house. He's probably still
his
asleep,
house.
as is every sane person over in the small cabin over there. But he's back home. We have no fish in our pond. Speaking of like maritime activities, but he fishes for like a couple hours a day in a fishless pond because he just finds fishing to be sort of zenny and peaceful. And I'm like, I do not understand that concept at all. I could not sit there even if I was catching fish. I don't know where you stand on fishing, James. I'm good with hunting. Like, I look forward to going turkey hunting next year on this property, but I cannot understand fishing. Where are you on it?
It saddens me to agree with you, but we are in the same boat. Like I'm practicing with my bow, or supposedly practicing with my bow. Like I'm looking forward to hunting. I can't do fishing. I can't just sit there. Like if I were to be there, actually even hunting, I think I have to play a book on tape as I sit there at a tree blind. It's like, I just can't waste that much time. But like the fishing, just sitting there. Does he? Okay, are you sure the pond is fishless? Did you go like electroshock it and verify there's no fish
No.
inside, or is maybe your son's just bad at fishing? So maybe there are fish. Maybe there's hope. But I just don't get the appeal. You wait there and wait there and wait there, and maybe something bites, and you pull it out, and it's gross, and you have to touch it, and you have to pull off the hook, and you just throw it back. Like you just punched a hole in this thing's mouth for no reason. And it's even worse if it keep it and eat it. Because fish is terrible. It's like soggy beef. Like nobody wants it. It's the runner-up of all foods. Why not just go to the grocery store and get real food, super cheap, rather than wasting all of this time to get something that's going to take a ton of work to prepare and just be disappointing.
Yeah, I don't. My grandfather is from the Philippines. I think I've said that on this show. He almost didn't. He like barely spoke English, and he would fish all the time because that's how he grew up. And I remember going with him, and it bored the crap out of me. But he could sit there all day and fish, and I just don't have that mindset. But I know there's no in between. There's no people that are sort of fair to Midland on fishing. Like you're either all in or you're all out, and I'm on the all out.
Well, it's not just that it's boring. It's that it's incredibly uncomfortable because you're right on the water, which is mosquito central. There's usually no shade because you're right up against the pond. So you're sunburning, you're getting eaten alive, and nothing's happening. Like that is like the triple threat of just a bad day. I can't even fathom why anyone would want to fish, which might explain why you abandoned your boat so quickly. Like half of the activities you do on the water were just out for you from day one.
Yeah, it was fun watching Mrs. Steve float on the water in her bikini, but I guess I could do that anywhere without a boat that is a hole in the water you throw your money into. But you want a turkey hunt with a bow?
No, I don't want a turkey hunt at all. I hate turkey. Well, I hate all birds in general, but not enough to go out and shoot them. I want a deer hunt. That's the goal. I want a deer hunt. Venison is like a rare delicacy around here. You're never going to find it in the stores. You only get venison if you hunt it yourself or if you have a friend who does it. So my buddy who I visited, his son bow hunts, and he gets a deer like every year. And so his mom gave me some venison hot links to take home. It's like, here, my son can provide for our family in a way that you cannot. Take these home and eat them in shame. And so I did, and they are delicious.
Your shame was delectable.
Yes.
All right, well, we have a ton of deers right here. If you want to come down here and hang out for a weekend, I'll get you a deer.
Well, I like to go someplace that has running water and electricity. Like not during the camp out, or like not during the hunt, but like afterwards at some point. I know for a fact.
Dare you? How dare you?
I mean,
my son won't be here. The cabin will be open. You at least have the guise of running water and electricity.
you know what? So the other thing about hunting is you got to know somebody who has like some land, and I don't know anybody. I have failed to make friends. I know that's the problem. That's what I'm getting to. In all these years, instead of making friends, I've been talking to you, and it's terrible. And now I'm going to have to drive 95 hours down to Nashville, and I'm going to drive my van onto your property, and it's instantly going to stop working, and my bow will probably explode, and I'll come back there smelling of sage and haunting.
Well, hopefully. I mean, best case scenario, you'll smell like sage because then you won't be evil anymore. And this podcast will take off to the stars.
Yes, that is the thing that's holding us back. Not our total lack of content or anything else along those lines. Not our incredibly poor quality control. It is my evil. That is what has been holding us back this whole time.
Boy, that is a fantastic note to end on because we can hashtag truth that statement. So we're going to get out of here and get you on with the rest of your week. And until we meet again, when we come face to phone with you one more time and you regret ever following the Exploding Unicorn on social media, this is Steve, Dr. Steve, the better looking host and the less evil of the two, for James, the Exploding Unicorn, and the Exploding with Evil Breakwell, saying thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and remember, as always, two wrongs can make a right.